The Honourable Nathan Guy.
Oh, Mr Speaker, what a great start it's been for the National-led government. 2017, a very exciting year. We've got the election date confirmed. We're ready to go. We've proven just since this start of the year how successful a start it's been for the Prime Minister, Bill English. Hasn't it been a fantastic start for this side of the House, Mr Speaker, when you had the Prime Minister go up to Europe on the international stage, meet all of those top dignitaries up there, and then, of course, he came back and made the right call to not go to TT Marae. And, of course, Labor trundled on there and then said, well, the Prime Minister should have been here, but actually we're not even sure if we're coming back next year. What a terrible mixed message that was from the Leader of the Opposition, Andrew Little. And then, of course, we had the phone call from the President of the United States of America, a very successful phone call between our Prime Minister and the President. Then we had the Prime Minister sharing a sheep on Saturday night. What Prime Minister around the world, Mr Speaker, could share a sheep in the style and the way that our Prime Minister did? No one could. And, of course, he beat the world champion, Sir David Fagan. Anyone that's interested and wants to know how good Sir David Fagan is, there's a YouTube clip of him shearing the fastest ever sheep in 14 seconds. As fast as that machine could go, his hand was going to keep up. He is an amazing athlete, and I say well done to Bill English. And then if we look across the other side of the House, what a terrible start it's been for them. Labor and the Greens getting together for a sort of a State of the Nation sort of speech thing, no policy announcements. And then last week, the Labor caucus just imploded. I say well done to Poto Williams for speaking her mind. Of course, she couldn't speak her own mind. She needed to get a PR company in to do it. But nevertheless, I say well done to that member for actually speaking up and saying something that she truly believes in. Because what fired up a good part of the Labor caucus was Willie Jackson coming in. Now, Willie has been promised a great list ranking spot. And, of course, that means for a whole lot of Labor members that are going to lose their seat this year, they're very reliant on the list. So they are imploding over the other side of the House. And I remember speech after speech after speech from Labor in here saying they would never do any electorate deal. No, sorry, that was the Green Party. They would never do any electorate deal. Well, what have they done? They've done an electorate deal on Greg O'Connor running against Peter Dunn and Oharia. So now we've got confusion on what really the Green Party thinks, because they want to do a deal and make sure that their candidate gets across the line in Oharia. My belief is, of course, he won't. And then we have another fresh face coming into the Labor Party, Lalala Lahare. Well, are those three the future of the Labor Party? I'm not really sure. We'll leave that up to the good voters of New Zealand. But specifically, can I focus on the Prime Minister's statement and his motion? Just the high-level message that I took out of that. The economy's in great shape. Going to grow at 3% over the next 5 years. Unemployment going to drop to 4.3%. Isn't that fantastic? 140,000 jobs created over this period of time. We are in a fantastic position. Little old New Zealand down here in the South Pacific, pulling the plough, getting on, growing our economy, and tourism numbers are going gangbuster. Then if we think about the police announcement made by the Prime Minister and the Police Minister, Paula Bennett, we've been really well received in rural New Zealand, really well received. More cops on the beat, quicker response time, making sure that all of our communities are safer, with a real focus on rural communities, which I think is fantastic. Then if we get a little bit closer to home in the Otaki electorate, great announcement on the UFB2 rollout for towns in my community, like Otaki, like Foxton, and Ian McKelvey's electorate of Shannon. They've been waiting ages for the rollout of ultra-fast broadband. The National-led government is going to deliver it. Really exciting news this week, of course, is the Kapiti Expressway. The Kapiti Expressway is going to be officially opened on Thursday. And Chris Farfoy campaigned against it. Chris Farfoy, on the northern part of his electorate that he never goes to in Raumati, had signs up against it. We are going to remind Chris Farfoy's voters that Labor was against $630 million invested in our community, in our region. We have waited absolute decades and decades. 500 jobs created, Mr Speaker, with the Kapiti Expressway. 18 kilometres long, 18 bridges, 16 kilometres of cycleway, walkway, bridleway, 1.5 million trees planted, wetlands enhanced by about 6 or 8-fold. This is truly a majestic road. The Prime Minister is going to be there on Thursday opening it when Labor and the Greens were opposed. David Cunliffe as leader. Remember when he was leader? Terrible result, wasn't it? God, well, the reason it was so terrible, he came out opposing the Kapiti Expressway. And we've always been confused about Labor's position on Transmission Gully. And Transmission Gully is going to be built and we're going to drive on it in 2020. So for my community and the commuters that come from Horowhenua into Kapiti into Wellington each day for work, at the moment, just to go a 100-kilometre stretch from Levin to Wellington, it takes at peak time over 2 hours. It is diabolical. This government is investing $2 billion from Wellington Airport all the way to north of Levin, in fact, right through to Foxton, where we're going to build a fantastic new bridge over the Manawatu River and a new trestle, $70 million investment. But wait, there's more. We are going to invest $330 million in 13 kilometres from Peka Peka to Otaki. And I wouldn't have a clue where Labor and the Greens are on that one. We're going to start in the middle of the year. Chris Farfoy puts his head down in shame because we know that the Greens oppose roading infrastructure. And we know that Labor, depending on what day of the week it is, they oppose decent infrastructure as well because they oppose the Kapiti Expressway. They are now so embarrassed. I'm not even sure if Labor will turn up to the community walkover on the weekend. There will be thousands that will come to the Kapiti Expressway. It'll be the first opportunity of them to walk along a section of it, get on the bus. It will be absolutely fantastic. But now, I think I've ridiculed Labor enough at the moment. Do you want me to go on? Well, I could, but I'd need extra time. And I want to talk about a few other important things in the area that I look after, which is the primary sector, the powerhouse of the New Zealand economy. Actually in pretty good shape. Dairy's going well, climbing off the bottom, rebounding really well. Horticulture going gangbusters. The forestry sector in good heart, exports going really well into China. And then, of course, we shouldn't forget also about seafood, because they've been doing pretty well as well. Their exports are looking pretty promising. On the other side of the coin, it's quite tough for our sheep farmers. The beef prices are still have stabilised and stayed up, but the US herd's rebuilding, a bit more Brazilian product coming in. It's pretty tough down on the farm for our sheep farmers. We're doing what we can to support them. Of course, we've got the Primary Growth Partnership, whereby we're investing with industry a huge amount in the red meat sector to lift their viability and productivity. This government is focused on irrigation because it's really topical. When you go to Northland, where I was a couple of weeks, and they're finding it pretty tough with drought conditions up there. And they're screaming out for water storage projects. So are Hawke's Bay and Gisborne. Of course, if we had the Ruataniwha built now, wouldn't that be absolutely fantastic? But Labor and the Greens oppose water storage projects. We've invested about $145 million into water storage. We believe it's hugely important. This year is going to be a year about acknowledging the great work that our farmers, our fishers, our growers do to actually support the New Zealand economy. They are a massive part of it. We will have policies that will support rural communities because the produce that comes off the farm needs to get to the port. Predominantly it goes on the road. this government is investing in infrastructure. We're investing in roads. We are investing in rail. We have done more in the history of the New Zealand Parliament to invest in decent infrastructure. It's going to be a fantastic year. Bring it on.